If your father is a policeman and he's collecting bribe on the road, you have no right to criticize the government.
I second that, Richard.
If your mom is working in the office, maybe in a driver's license office or whatever office, civil service office in Nigeria, and she will need to get people to pay her bribe to get her job done, even NIN office, you have no right to criticize Nigeria as a country or the leadership of the country, because if you guys get into power, you'll be worse.
Welcome to the Diaspora Door podcast, where stories soar and cultures collide. Join us as we journey through vibrant voices and untold tales from around the globe. Let's celebrate the heartbeat of the diaspora together.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Diaspora Door. I am Inze Obanello, your host, and I'm joined today by our co-host, Zaina Kayat, and very excited to have you here, Zaina. Thanks.
Hello.
Yeah, I know you've been traveling around the globe, which is a great thing. Where is the last place you were at? Dubai, maybe, or something?
Like out of Canada was Dubai and Lebanon recently, yeah. And then last week I was in Quebec in Canada.
Okay, so Diaspora Door crew, we're all over the place, and it's a great thing. It keeps us nice and fresh. Interesting enough, today, it is the day after the Nigerian Independence Day, which was yesterday. Nigeria's independence was yesterday, and that's October 1st. Nigeria got its independence in 1960. I believe I'm going to be correct, and I'm going to make sure I don't mess up that with my fact checking. But yes, that was in 1960, October 1. And there are, believe it or not, 232 million, yes, 232 million, according to Google, people in Nigeria. Hence why Nigeria is a country that has several challenges, along with the successes that Nigeria has. But there are a lot of challenges with so many people. How do you keep everyone straight and happy? Which is a very remarkable thing. There are 200 tribes and languages in Nigeria. The dominant tribes are Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. And Nigeria is a magnificent country. It really has a lot of potential, and we're going to be talking quite a bit about it today on today's podcast. I will say also the flag of Nigeria, which is green, white, green. The two green vertical stripes represent the rich agriculture and natural resources of Nigeria. And the middle white represents peace and unity. Again, with so many, I think there are at least 500 different ethnic groups in Nigeria, which again, is a delicate dance, as so many different people are living together in the West African country that Nigeria is. So with that intro, just to let people know, for today's podcast, we're psyched because we're going to talk about Nigeria. The nickname that people use for Nigeria is Naija. So our title today is Naija in the House. And we just thought it'd be neat to talk about Nigeria from the perspective of how people see Nigeria who are now in the diaspora, those who have left Nigeria now in the diaspora, and also how people in Nigeria, what is the thought of what's going on in Nigeria? What are the successes? What are the challenges? Why do we have these challenges? Everyone seems to know what the problems are and what the solutions are, but still as a country with such great potential, it is struggling. I'm an individual who's born overseas. My parents immigrated to Canada in the 60s. I was born outside of Nigeria in the diaspora. My parents were great in keeping me and my 3 siblings immersed and connected with Nigeria and the culture. And that's a great thing. It's unfortunate, though, that many Nigerians living in the diaspora have a struggle when they're thinking, okay, I'm going to go home to visit. It's not like a day in the park. Oh, let's go to Mexico or Jamaica, easy peasy. You know, people worry about security. People worry who you're going to tell. And at the same time, you're raising a family in the diaspora, telling them how wonderful their country is. And then everyone's freaked out about how are we going to travel, and what kind of message does that give those of us who were born in the diaspora about, hey, yeehaw, let's go home. So we decided to have this episode with all the, I'm making it sound like we've got a dozen people here, with some guests who are now currently living in the diaspora, who are Nigerians, and just have some dialogue. And I have a feeling we're going to have some different opinions on how things are going in Nigeria, and that's great because it's good. Civil discourse is a good thing, and we want to just make sure we hear from everybody. So that is a bit of an intro as to what our podcast today will be. So we have 3 astute guests here on the Diaspora Door. I will start with Peter Okoro, who he is a return guest. So Diaspora Door must be doing okay since he didn't go running, kicking and screaming away from the first time when he was on the Diaspora Door. And Peter is an environmental consultant and climate specialist living in all places, Minnesota. Those of you who do not know, Minnesota is one of the coldest places during winter. And that's interesting for someone coming from a warm climate like Nigeria to land there. He works as an environmental consultant and climate specialist with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. He's been ice fishing. He's hung out in ice huts. Got to hear the whole story. So he is passionate about conserving and protecting the environment. And he has, of course, a great interest in African culture, ecotourism in Africa, and sustainable travel. So Peter is in the house with us. We also have Mathew with us, Mathew Ocheno. And Mathew is in Texas, Dallas, Texas, to be specific. And Mathew is an IT expert in Dallas, Texas, and he is an ambitious and goal-oriented person. So it'll be really great hearing from Mathew. And last but not least, we have Richard Pamphile, and he is in Calgary, Alberta, which is in Canada. And he is a passionate Nigerian and a political analyst who hopes to see Nigeria reach its full potential as a country. And that's a topic we have to dive into, and how is that going to happen? So I guess how I would like to begin asking each of you, when you hear that yesterday was Independence Day, and the whole deal about Independence Day of Nigeria is to bring Nigeria together. It was the independence from Britain. And the important piece about our independence is that we're supposed to be, as all different ethnic groups, working together and cohesively. And I dare say, I don't think that's totally happening. So I'd like to just ask each of you to just let us know, when you hear Nigerian Independence Day yesterday, what does that mean to you? Is that a hopeful thing? Is that, I don't know. So, Peter, I'll begin with you because I know you more than the other guys. I need them to warm up to me and Zaina.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Nze, for that introduction, and hi to our listeners at home. It's good to be here again. Interesting conversation we have right here. And I would say when it comes to Nigerian Independence Day, for example, I would just say that it's a normal day for me. I don't see October 1st every year as a day. Oh, I have to take off at home. I have to go party or have to celebrate the country. I mean, first of all, due to personal reasons, and secondly, due to the fact that the situations back home have really demoralized me as a citizen. I'm supposed to be a proud, patriotic citizen. However, some happenings and some instability, especially with the economy lately, has really pulled back that joy that October 1st is supposed to be. So I would say generally October 1st every year, just a day that I take as a normal business day for me. I go to work. If I have to go to school, I have to go to school. If I have to do anything fun at home, I do at home. But not like I had friends who called me out. Oh, are you going to party this weekend to celebrate independence? I'm like, oh no, I have other things doing. So it's a sad feeling for me, but at the same time, just hoping for the best. Like, hey, maybe in the next year or next 5 years, I should have joy in celebrating, But that is just what it has been in the last few years for me.
Peter, can you remind us when you left Nigeria, or maybe the first time? How many years has it been?
Oh, it's been almost 10 years now. I left Nigeria in 2016.
Would you say in 2017 when October 1st hit? I know, but like a year, in your first year, did you have the same feeling?
It was still the same feeling. Okay. Yeah, I've had this feeling since probably 2012. I've had this feeling. Yeah, it's just been like something that's reoccurred now for more than a decade, because it's sad because things are not getting any better since then. So that's what it has been for me.
All right.
It's sad.
But I bet my other colleagues here, Mathew and Richard, maybe they would have some other feelings they would share to our listeners at home.
Okay, Mathew, Richard, who wants to go first or next? Sorry.
Well, I can go first because I think Zina is already sort of preempting what I want to say. So, in a way, yesterday was a sober day for me because I reflected on Nigeria. I reflected on independence. I remembered when we were kids, when I was younger than I am now. I would say independence was a day we sort of anticipated, as kids, and there were a lot of interesting things and friends. Then in Nigeria we go out. Those were the days we visited Mr. Biggs. Mr. Biggs was still
Mr. Biggs. Zaina, it's like an hamburger joint.
Is it a national holiday? Has it always been? Does everyone no work, no school?
Definitely, yes. Yep. October 1st every year in Nigeria is holiday, and it was a joyous day. But what I've observed so far is how gradually that feeling, is reducing as the day goes by. You see, that anticipation, that patriotism leaving. Fortunately, I wouldn't say unfortunately, but fortunately yesterday, I and my friends, we had gathering, not even thinking about the independence, but reflecting on it again, I feel it's a connection to the homeland, it's a reflection of my spirit being there, right? So, that is how I thought about independence. And then looking back at how things have been, I saw a couple of my friends posting hit songs, in Nigeria. People posting African China, Mr. President, and then people posting Idris Abdul Karim's song, Nigeria Jaga Jaga. Again, it called my attention to, how things used to be and how things are currently, And then looking at the contents of those songs again, I asked myself, is it even better now or worse,
Mathew,
so
talk about the context of those, for those of us who don't know the music, what themes are coming out of those songs, please?
Okay, so I think that song by African China would be around 16 to 17 years now. In that song, he was actually saying, Mr. President, lead us well. And if you are a senator, senate well. If you are a police, good police. I'm translating it now.
Yes.
Like if you are a police, a good police doesn't take bribe. If you are a governor, govern us well, and all those things. And then you look at it currently, the presidents we've had coming from when this song was, sang, the original time, the date it was produced. How has this, how have the presidents of Nigeria been? Are we getting good presidents, or is it a retrogression? So look at it in that context. Also look at the police, the police that was sang about 16 years ago. How is it being today? Has it gotten better, or has it gotten worse? So I think I will leave it at this, and then maybe we can talk more about the security agencies, the police in Nigeria, compared to how it is now and how it used to be when that song was initially sung.
Thank you. Thank you, Mathew. Okay, Richard, you're on.
Yeah, so talking about Independence Day is such a very interesting one for me, because when we talk about independence, it means like we've regained our freedom from some certain maybe powers or so. And then Nigeria would say in 1960, 1st October 1960, they got the independence from the British, right? And then I would ask a question. The Nigerian country was got the independence from Britain, and then the question: are the citizens independent?
Yeah,
you get. So you leaving one slave master to another slave master. So maybe the politicians are free to celebrate the independence because now they have the direct power to the treasury of the country. They are the ones in charge. They can now loot as much as they want. It's no more the British people looting. So the politicians are now looting. But what about the common citizen? Are they really independent? That's a question we should ask. Yeah. So in my own case, I can even tell you that as a Nigerian, you don't even have the power to choose your leader because the election is not free and fair. On paper, it's a democracy. But whatever they do, they all know it by themselves. Sometimes they come out to confess that they know how they win elections. It's not even free and fair. So I don't really know the term independence, why we still use it in this context. Because I can say, for example, I don't know if you guys are aware of it. I'm sure maybe Mathew and Peter are pretty much aware that China also got like the Republic of China was established on October 1st. 1949. So you could look, that's only 11 years earlier than Nigeria. You could see the changes that have gone on in that country. The people celebrate that day in grand style because that day actually is a very significant day. That was the day they started building a new country. The government system changed, things changed. So we're not here to talk about them, but I'm just trying to say, like, as in Nigeria, I cannot really say what is better in terms of like governance or whatever in Nigeria now as compared to when we were not independent. There are some monuments, some great things that were there when Nigeria was even a colony. Up till today, you still see them. Fantastic things. Looking at pictures from back in the days, they still look beautiful. The only difference is that our treasury, we're paying tax to British government. We're only being run by British government. Now we're being run by Nigerians, but the Nigerians are even more terrible than the British government. So as a citizen, I cannot say I got independence. Maybe the president and his people can say they got independent. Definitely not me. There's nothing to celebrate in terms of that. So that's what I have to say.
Maybe just as a link to all this, a bit of, why is this non-Nigerian co-hosting? I'm originally from Lebanon in my roots, and I was just there, I was saying 2 weeks ago, kind of a similar story, right? So they were colonized by the French. They got their independence November 22nd, 1943. I don't think that people will ever say they're free from many other interests. The USA controls their government, Israel controls their government. And then the way government gets, there's no election. It's the Christians get 10% of the seats, and then the three sects of Muslims get a certain percent of the seats. So that's just decided. And of course, the country has no currency, no economy, no banks, and they didn't have a president for 4 years. So therefore, no bailout from the IMF. So I see a lot of parallels with my conversations with Lebanese people. We hope and we want. And, after a civil war and all that, it seems like it's regressed as well. So I've got a lot of grace with what you're feeling.
So my question is, how do we embrace all that and still want to support, our country, and how are we going to make it better? Like you guys, I don't know how you sided during the last election when Peter Obi, he's my guy, when he came and, said, hey, I want to make, trying not to use a quote from someone here in the States, but trying to make Nigeria, one better. And he made it very clear when he came to the States, because my husband and I came and listened to him in Boston, Massachusetts. He said he can't do it alone. He's got to have, some people are going to have to make some sacrifices, come home and help to make that change. Do you guys think that's possible? I mean, so many of us were hoping that he would be that golden child to bring Nigeria up. And then I think it's you, Richard, who alluded to the elections and how elections go, and they become corrupt and whatnot, and the guy didn't win, which clearly he should have won. So I'm just wondering, the doom and gloom of it all, what's the solution? How do we, people are still going home, they go to Nigeria. Zain, as you're talking, you went to Lebanon. You still go home. There's still, I guess, we have to have hope, or is this crazy hope that we have? Is this something that's going to happen in our children's generation, that place is going to be cleaned up?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mathew, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was just going to say, first of all, to answer your question, Nze, I think this is a difficult one to embrace for me, if not an impossible one. And I'll also say that I'll agree with Mr. Peter Obi for sure that he cannot do it alone. And this is one of the things that I always advocate, especially amongst the young ones like myself. I always tell people that the reason why Nigeria is where it is today, Nigeria and even some other African countries, but we're not talking about Africa here, we're talking about Nigeria, is the fact that the people are not even ready for a change. It's as simple as that. There is, if Nigerians themselves were ready for a change, the government, which is made up of like maybe everybody in the government, from the president down to the local government chairman, they are not up to 3,000 people. How can 3,000 people be toiling with 200 million people? How does that make sense? Even if they control all the army in the world, So I believe that the people are not ready for a change. And these are some of the reasons why this systematic oppression has continued from 1961 till this very date. Now, take for instance, you would see that there's this quote in Nigeria called suffering and smiling. Nigerians are so used to the situation whereby politicians come out and rub things to our faces. They tell you that snake swallowed 36 million naira in the jam offense, and everybody, and instead of the citizens to take it serious, you see all the young ones like us, they go into the social media and start making memes out of it and joking with it. These are cities that should come out and ask questions, that should call their reps, the senators to the table, that should carry placards to the street, that should make a statement. We turn everything to a joke, to memes. Then the most important tool that they've used against us is tribal wars. When the moment the politicians sense that these cities are about to wake up from their slumber, they instigate a tribal war. Now, over the years, from even before independence, we have been allowed ourselves to be used by these guys. So, and we still continue. This is the 21st century, 2025, and the young ones like us are still allowing ourselves to be used by the politician. So the question is, to answer your question about what is the hope? Personally, as a human, I don't see any hope until the day that we wake up, and we especially the young ones, we wake up and say, hey, enough is enough. Something must change. That is when we will begin to see these guys know that they know what they're doing, But until then, I just believe that we have a long way to go. Do I see hope? Very, very tiny hope. It's like a thread, as thin as a thread. But I'm just trying to tell you that we, the young ones, especially, not the older generation, the younger, we have to wake up from our slumber. I'm really intrigued I'm looking forward to hear what Mathew and Richard would say. I'm sure Zena has some similar experiences to share with us. But yeah, Mathew, go ahead, please.
So, what is the hope? I think the hope lies in the resilience of the Nigerian people. And I, in a way, disagree with Peter with regards to the people. Yes, this may also sound contradictory because there are so many places we can fault the Nigerian people, especially the youth. But I think the hope lies in the resilience of the Nigerian people. And you can see this all over the world. You can see this in Nigerians in diaspora. You can see this in Nigerians making great impact in Nigeria, despite the bad governance, despite the bad system, right? So this is not to say they are not very, complicit Nigerians in the diaspora, because sometimes, when you attend Nigerian gatherings in these places, you come across Nigerians whom you think are informed and should, advocate for good governance. But instead, they choose, tribal lines or ethnic line, religious lines, just to, advance whatever points they are advancing or promote one candidate that they are promoting, when election comes. Yes, the simple answer to that question is the hope lies in the resilience of the Nigerian people. Talking about politicians, I also want to differ a little from what they said about a particular candidate in the in the last Nigerian election. I think we have to look beyond politicians for a hope for Nigeria, if we want to think about it in that way. Because, even though one candidate is being portrayed as the savior, we can also, there are so many people that would disagree by highlighting some of, lapses in his own, during his time as a governor and all that. That is not to say the candidate in question would not bring any good for Nigeria. People would also argue that he was the best amongst the other major candidates. But the question is in Nigerian people demanding systems that would give the people, power to decide what is good for them. And not just like he said, quoting Nze, he cannot do it alone. So also is any other Nigerian politician. No one can do it alone. But the people have to demand for better system institutions that would enable them to, advance what is good for Nigeria. No diasporan can come home, quoting Nze.
What system do you recommend? Mathew, what system do you recommend? But go ahead.
Institutions, there are institutions that work, and we can think about that and we can talk about that after this. But let me just finish with this point. Coming home, as he said, no diasporan will come home. Some diasporans have come home and some of them couldn't come back to their base, kidnapped, and some of them made investments in Nigeria and, their investments gone. As much as we're ordinary people here, most of us can't go home without our parents, our family cautioning us, you have to be careful, if possible, don't come, and all that. Then talk about going back home to invest. So maybe if a particular candidate, and just what the Nigerian government has been doing recently, trying to ask diasporans to return. No diasporan can return to Nigeria without security, without assurance of, good economy or a system that would support their investment. So I will leave it at that, and then we can go further.
Before we go to Richard, just for some of the listeners and some of my intelligence, so 234 million, you said, NZ, right?
232, yeah, 232.
So what's the size of the diaspora? How many have left? Or how many are in the rest of the world?
I didn't.
So just to give you for Lebanon was 14 million before the civil war in 1973. There's like 2 million Lebanese left in Lebanon. Everybody left. Wow. And then 1 million Palestinian refugees and 1 million Syrian refugees, 4 million people, but only 2. So we all left to try to do something. And then, like you, we want to bring it back, but there's a lot of barriers. I'm just curious, what is it a number known?
And
and there's no statistic, but I know there's a lot of Nigerians outside Nigeria. Like it's in the India
everywhere.
Millions, I would say. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Okay, I'm gonna Google.
Keep going. And that's what I'm doing. Actually, Zaina, it says estimate for Nigerians in the diaspora varies significantly by source and definition, but recent figures from 2024 suggest around 17 million or more.
Okay,
yeah,
so
I know it's definitely more than that. I know but we can just leave it at Google.
Yeah,
15-20%.
Yeah, and I would say too, what they say is if you're in a city or town and there's not a Nigerian there, you need to move out. Nigerians are like everywhere. Like, Richard was saying he was in China. Like Nigerians everywhere. In fact, I even think, just being a little funny, by the time people get to Mars, they're going to be Nigerians there saying, "What took you so long?" For a while, kind of thing.
We'll have a shop there selling tires and spare parts.
Yeah, it is really interesting because other diaspora, they concentrate, right? So a lot of Chinese, in parts of North America, and Jewish kind of a lot in different parts. Venezuela has a lot of certain. Anyway, but yeah, Nigeria, you're right, everywhere.
Yeah, totally everywhere. And please, what I would like to say, Peter, is, when you spoke about, not even, I don't think it's Peter's, Mathew, one person can't be the golden child, the golden solution. I will say, though, and again, I'm totally partial, as you can see, to Peter O.B., I was impressed how he really elevated, though, the youth, you guys. Like and, Peter, I know you have no hope that people are doing what they're needing to do and pulling up their boots and supporting. But I don't think Nigeria has seen that kind of activism out of youth in Nigeria and also outside of Nigeria. Like when I was in Boston, he had like all these young people, Nigerian youth, who had no interest before him, to be honest with you, about Nigeria, who were wanting to sign on the dotted line, like, where can I go? How can I come home? Like, he really jazzed up the activism and action and whatnot, especially in the youth, I would say. So the potential is there. It's just, and I think people also worry about their security. If we're going to go on the streets with our placards and whatnot, who are the juntas who are going to come and be at us, kind of thing. But I was very impressed with the activism.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, Richard, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So to talk on the previous point, first of all, I want to highlight something. If you come in the diaspora, like go abroad and then see Nigerians, you have to pay attention to their takes on the happenings of Nigeria, the political situation of Nigeria. You would see a trend. For example, you could see that Peter and Mathew, they're able to condemn the iniquities going on in the political system. Yes, because they are free. They don't live in Nigeria.
Yes.
Now, there are some people in the diaspora that will still support the bad system, how things are going on. They still tell you everything is fine. Now, these are the people. One, these people belong to like a tribal kind of, section whereby everything for them is about the tribes, man. Now, another set of people. There's another set of people who just like passionate about thuggery. So they love the way our political system is so much about like rascality. It's about like the worst person wins it because he has a strategy to outsmart other people in terms of evil. Now we have another set of people. Those ones are the ones who are benefiting directly from the politicians. So this kind of people will never see anything wrong with our political system. Now let me come on and talk about the actual thing. There's no way a politician would know that he doesn't really need your vote to win an election. Then you will feel like he will end up serving you. He cannot serve you. The very moment that he is aware that if he gives out a few thousands or a few millions of dollars or nairas in Nigeria, he will be able to hijack the system. Then to hell with whatever citizen you're talking about. So first of all, the system is wrong. The fact that we've not been able to conduct a free and fair election up till today, our redemption is so far away from us. So first of all, what we need to fix is the electoral process. An electoral process whereby we know that the person that the people really want, without spraying money, without sharing money, without using thugs and the police, that's the person that will actually win the election. If we can get that done, we're actually like on our way to something good. Now let's come out and talk about like the Nigerian people on their own. I've visited Nigeria a couple of times, like I think last year. I'll tell you, there's so much to do about Nigerian people before we get to that point. Poverty has been weaponized. Seriously. There's a lot of corruption among Nigerian people, which I would like to point out before we even go to the politician. If you go to the airport, I'm not here to like open our dirty lining in the public, but there's a lot going on in Nigeria, even down to the like civil service. There's a lot of corruption. Everybody feels that if they can actually, many people feel that if they can actually outsmart you and get money from you, it's okay. People don't rely on their pay mostly.
Business in every position.
They just like, let's just be corrupt. The education system, everything is just so wrong. So in this kind of way, what you would see at the end of the day is the person with the biggest money bag will be able to buy everybody and get himself into power. And when they get into power, they do whatever they want and settle some other little boys. Look, it's really, really crazy out there in Nigeria. For us to get it right, we need to do a serious cleansing. First of all, a serious awakening, telling the poor people that you shouldn't keep on selling your vote or selling your conscience to politicians. There should be some kind of education, enlightening Nigerians about how this old way we've been operating has held us hostage. So we should change our style. We should rather maybe focus on knowing that the real enemies are actually the politicians. It's not even about one person, but there's something we mentioned about a particular individual or a particular candidate, and then we say that it's more like the institution. Now, there's something I'll say. What we need, we need a candidate who will show that he's trying to win election democratically, not trying to rig it. One. Secondly, a candidate should embody decency. You cannot have a candidate who is so much entrenched in illegality, leading the country, and he still operates in a very illegal way. And then you expect the people. What are the people going to learn? The young people who believe that if you go all your way.
I have some place where I need to answer Mr. Mathew. But once you're done, Richard, about the candidates.
Exactly. So when you go, like when you try to reward a particular candidate who is well known for thuggery, evil, right? Now you are telling the young people that decency doesn't pay. That what you would get to the highest position, the highest office of the country when you a badass talk. And then that's when you will see a lot of governors trying to maybe act. If you notice recently, there are a lot of governors trying to be little tyrant because they've seen what tyranny, they're trying to be little godfathers. They've seen what tyranny have cost. You know, tyranny have actually led this one to the highest position in office. You will see a lot of them want to copy him. They want to like host the state hostage because it's what worked for the other guy. So generally, what I want to say is we should first of all embrace decency, enlighten the citizens, and think of how we can actually operate with real democracy. Thank you.
But how can you do that, though? You know, Richard.
We will talk about.
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
No problem. Okay.
Yeah. I was going to send a reply to Mathew. You know, there was a part Mathew talked about looking beyond the candidates, and as much as that is a good point, I would say that was attainable maybe many years ago, decades ago in Nigeria. Since 1961 up until 2023, I'm not sure in the history of Nigeria, or even, I would say Nigeria, like we ever had the chance to get a credible candidate, even from the days of the military. Some people will tell you, Motomori Tala was good, or Yaraja was okay, but he's late. Let's not talk about him. But in terms of candidature, I feel like for the first time in Nigerian history, democratical setting, especially, we had somebody a politician that people can vouch. A lot of people, at least not everyone, a lot of people could vouch for his integrity. This is a man that has track record, you understand? So in as much as we don't want to, we have to look beyond candidature. I feel like we have come to that point in Nigeria where every sensible Nigerian, I use the word sensible because there are people, just like we're discussing, there are people who are still looking, they have not looked beyond tribe or other sentiment. Yeah. Every sensible Nigerian should back him, in the sense that, for instance, this is a man that has come out countless times and said that he didn't steal anything. He said, I'm not a saint, but I'm not a thief. He has challenged everybody to come out and if you think I've stolen money before, EFCC or whoever you are, I challenge you to come out. In the history of politics, not even beyond Nigeria, even in Africa, even across the world, I've never seen a politician come out and tell you with his full chest and look at the TV or the live television and tell you that he didn't steal money. Now, what am I trying to say? I would disagree with Mathew on that point. I feel like Nigerians need to, and agree with Richard on the point that we have to work on the citizens first, even. There is a lot of, the youths are wallowing away in ignorance and wrong sentiment. If we can work on our electoral process and the mindset of the people, I believe that having the right candidate would automatically, when the system works, the process works. The right person will be there. But even if we look beyond the candidate and we have a right system and we don't have credible people, it's still going to be the same thing at the end of the day. We need to have a right system and we need to have the right people as well who we can propel there and trust and say, yes, this is our leader. We trust him.
Would you want me to comment on this, or
please? If you guys want to fight it out and duke it out, please do.
Well, not necessarily, because part of what Peter said is quite correct. There is a need to work on the citizens, the people. I'm in support of that. But my problem with candidates is that when we look at a particular candidate, we become disappointed most times, because it means that our hope lies solely on a particular candidate. But when we look at the people, when we advocate for institutions, looking at the people, then there is hope. There is hope for continuity. There is hope for, beyond one person, And also, I am not trying to discredit the candidate in question, which is Peter B. I am just trying to be careful about, putting the hope or tagging or associating the hope for Nigeria to a particular candidate. Yes.
Okay.
Good point.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, Richard, please.
I would like to say something here. Since we're still in the issue of candidacy and election, I'd like to give an instance. It's going to be like a kind of comparative analysis. For example, many people believe that the current government of Nigeria is not performing well. The government is not. A lot of people believe so. Don't forget about what the politicians are telling you, or the whole hallelujah boys that they have paid to sing their praises. Now, the real issue on ground is that everything is not going well. But if you see the arrogance, they are very sure that they have the powers to win the election. They don't even need anything. The president is going to choose the INEC president or chairman. Yeah. INEC is like electoral commission, right? He's going to choose the chairman very soon. He will choose his loyal boy who will just declare him to win election. He doesn't need to stress it. All this campaign things is just like just to let it not be like he didn't campaign. Now, let me bring it and give you a little bit of a comparison in terms of like Canada, since we know a little bit about Canada. You guys noticed during before the Canada election, the general election in Canada, there was a sense that maybe their previous prime minister was not getting the love. They maybe scented that there was gonna be like he was gonna lose the election. That's what his party saw.
Yeah,
they had to change to bring someone who they could sell or try to see endear the citizens to him. If it was in Nigeria, first of all, the prime minister is the number one man. Nobody can change him. I guarantee you that. They don't need to bring anybody or try. They don't care about your image. You can be the worst guy. As far as you have the power, nobody let go of power in Nigeria easily. You have the power in your hands. He wouldn't even need to rebrand his image, try to package himself. He could be doing the worst of things. I'm telling you guys that don't worry, he won't lose his election. He assure you that he will win the election before 12 midday. So this is the difference between a different working system and a bad system. Now, if you ask me if the leadership, if the president really matters or the candidate really matters, it matters. When someone embodies democratic values, right, and makes us believe that if he doesn't perform, he will be voted out. He will now be forced to work properly for the people because he knows that if he doesn't, he'll be voted out. And then we'll have like series of democracy where people like come in, they do what they can. If they don't do well, they're voted out, and then we change and so on. That's how we get a proper country. So I will just stop there so I don't take the majority of the time. Thank you, guys.
No.
And yeah, just to follow up, I think Zena asked a question. Thanks for that, Richard, and Matthew. I mean, you guys are amazing. So Zena asked a question about the fact that us in the diaspora, did we migrate so that we can make a change, to change the system that what we are talking about here, or we migrated for greener pastures to build a better life? I will speak for myself. Maybe Richard and Matthew can talk for themselves. I would say personally, I left Nigeria to make my life better. Only me cannot change anything. I can only do the little I can, I'm not a multi-millionaire. Like I can say, okay, I want to build a factory in my village, or I want to build a factory in Enugu or whichever city I want. I migrated strictly to help my life. Now the thing here is this, but irrespective of the fact that I cannot really affect the system, what is the little that I'm doing? What quote am I contributing to help Nigeria? Is spreading the word, enlightening people. I try to talk to every Nigerian at every chance that I get. I don't have the willpower, but I have the vocal power. I'm trying in my own little way. But we most of us here, I would say, came here to survive because the system was holding us down, and we had to breathe. We had to survive. We needed some fresh air. So these are some of the issues. So can we effect change in our little ways from the diaspora here? Yes, absolutely yes. And I believe in our own ways we are doing, but we had to survive first before we can make change. That's just me speaking from my own side of my own point of view.
But Peter, my question would be, how do you get that transferred to Nigeria? I mean, you can, shout it to the rafters over here in Canada, the States, wherever Nigerians are. But how does that all, descend upon Nigeria to give them strength so that they're able to do, because they're the ones on the ground suffering and going through the worry of, is someone in the middle of the night going to come and take them because they spoke up or did something? You know what I mean? Like how?
Yes, I totally understand. So, I mean, in my little way, aside, in addition to enlightenment to other people, I speak out, So, for instance, if I'm somebody that is very vocal, by nature, I will not sit back and see a lot of things go on in Nigeria, In my own little platform, in my own little way, I try to raise awareness about what is happening back home. Like, hey, this is not right, because there's a lot going on there in negative sense, So, another thing I try to do is, I try to come up with innovations that can help my community back home. Come up with some little innovations that can help our community. It may not affect the system, but it is helping my people. It could create some form of it could even create jobs. It could create just any innovation that could help my community to be a better place, my little community back home. So these are some ways that I am helping, but I would say politically, it gets more complex when we want to talk about changing the political, affecting change in the political atmosphere from here. But the enlightenment that we have been carrying out, especially since last election, I'm not part of any socio-political organization, right? But this is something that we do individually, especially in the 2023 election. We carried out some enlightenment campaign, me and some other colleagues, and it went a long way. It's tough. It's tough to change the mindset of our people back home. But I would say that these are some steps that I personally have taken in how I can effect change there. And I would say that in other ways, in other ways, I'm thinking that I can effect changes. The little knowledge I've acquired in the United States and in China, right? I'm thinking of not how it can benefit how it can benefit my hosts. I'm thinking of how to transfer this knowledge to my people, be it educational knowledge, be it scientific, be it political, anything, any knowledge at all, be it environmental, any little knowledge I acquire here, I'm thinking of how this can be transferred back. This idea, this skill can be moved back there. I feel like that will go a long way, and just uplifting the situation over there.
Rebuttal from you guys. Oh, sorry.
So, responding to Zinat's question, and I would follow Peter's cue, which is answering for myself. But there's a common saying in Nigeria that says we left home to make home good, right? We left so that we can, get a better life and bring back home, bring life back, goodness back to our homes. So, yes, for me, I left because I think there is a need to be safe. There is a need to also grow in every consideration of growth, intellectually, exposure, get education, good education, and at the end, bring back my knowledge home, my goodness, what I would consider goodness, bring it back home. There is this feeling most times that when people leave, they leave forever. And sorry, let me just leave that point but the point I'm trying to make is that.
What do you mean leave that point? What do you mean? You can't scoot away from that.
I think we left home because we want to get the goodness outside, as much as we're also benefiting the people, our hosts in our, wherever we are, but also take some atom of goodness back home. Nigeria and Africa is not a place where we live and should live forever, because there is a connection to that place. That a connection that even when you want to try to forget it, like when we started, he said, I think your husband wants an amnesia, something like that, trying to, fight himself in forgetting some things. But it's a struggle, it's a continuous struggle, and that is our reality, that somehow we can never be disconnected from that place. So for me, it is to go abroad, get the goodness there, and then bring it back home.
Yeah. So maybe I'll just jump in there. The question of how we could help, or why we left Nigeria, and how are we contributing to helping the situation as diasporans. I would first of all say that as diasporans, we have what we call diaspora remittance. We have family members back home.
Yep.
In one way or the other, as a Nigerian who lives abroad, we are saddened with the burden of like helping people at home. It could even be old classmates.
Black tax.
Like a lot of helps you gotta be offering to the people at home.
Yep.
While we are working in the diaspora, we are paying our taxes.
Yep.
We're also doing a lot at home, like to help the people there to deal with the situation. So that is why the biggest beneficiary of Nigerians abroad are actually the government. Because if there were not a lot of Nigerians abroad helping people back home, people would be so hopeless. And at some point, they might have maybe fought back. Be trying to like get things done through a protest, a serious one. So the fact that you have a brother or a sister or an uncle abroad who is still helping you with some little money to survive, that's actually downs in the tension. So that is one. Secondly, there are a lot of community outreach from Nigerians in the diaspora, which a lot of us, I'm sure, we also participate in, trying to help the community. But there's one problem with this. We are just prolonging our suffering. Because we will keep on doing those things till thy kingdom come. You get, there will never get to that point where we actually like stop being the ones from abroad, helping people back home, like building a country where people at home will be self-sufficient and not relying on Nigerians abroad. So that's where the problem lies on. And the biggest thing is also that we don't have the political power, especially Nigerians in the diaspora who have actually seen what a proper country is like. How to run a proper country, what citizens benefit as just by being a citizen, where Nigerians don't even dream of getting. So with this knowledge, this exposure, this ambition that Nigerians in the diaspora have, if there was something like political power or any form of power that we will convert, to fight the system, that will work. But the biggest, another problem is that we don't even vote. Nigerians in the diaspora cannot vote compared to Americans. They vote, but they are. Nigerians cannot vote from the diaspora because if there's a free and fair election and Nigerians in the diaspora vote, I can tell you, this political whatever structure that we have would have been dismantled at some point. Even Nigerians in the diaspora might be throwing themselves into the race. I believe that so many Nigerians in the diaspora would be happy to be local government chairmen. A lot of people look down on that position. It's such an important position because it puts you directly with your community. You can effect a lot of change from that position if democracy works, because when you don't have the autonomy to use the resources, you now have to be like loyal to the governor or the president. So that will be an issue. So now in Nigeria, what we have is that local government chairmen are tout that have been settled by the state governor, for helping them win rig election. So the system, there's a way the system is being put together that I feel like it's going to be so hard. Even being in diaspora, no matter what you be, you're just going to keep doing charity. We cannot really effect the change. Of course, we have one strong power that I still have to give it to us. The power is that we have the freedom to speak. Right now, I can say anything. I can raise awareness. Especially in Nigeria, the political talks, the political hallelujah boys, when you say something, they will tag the DSS, to use that to threaten you. But people like us, we don't really need to worry about anything because we live in a democratic world where there's nothing they can really do to us. So I look forward to the Nigerians in the diaspora. At least they should be able to speak up. Go on Twitter, look for platform like podcast, say something, speak about what should be done, enlighten the people, and don't be worried about any threat because we live in a democratic world where we are somehow protected. So that's actually where
I would like to chip in some points on this. And in a way, what Richard said is true in the sense that there is a way we can affect the system, and there is a way in trying to affect the system back home, we may also be contributing to the problem in the system. Right? Charity is not the way forward because we can't keep doing that forever. However, it's not sustainable. However, we can try to fund certain initiatives in Nigeria. There is this, and it's increasing. It's not only in Nigeria. There is this attempt everywhere in the world to silence people. There is this attempt everywhere to, control, I would say, censor education in such a way that it leaves history, politics, and very issues that matter to to development, to governance. Now everything in this nature is being filtered. There is so much focus on other aspects of education. I think those are the ways people in diaspora can actually, help fund initiatives that, improve political literacy, fund initiatives that, help education, develop education, build universities that teach governance, fund candidates who can represent the people in the Congress. By this, I mean diasporans, people who are capable financially, can sponsor candidates who would advocate for reform of educational curriculums in schools, and make policies that enables the people to get the right empowerment when it comes to governance and politics within the system. I think this is a way. And again, it boils down to the point I made earlier on system. What we need is a system. Diaspora voting in Nigeria is about system. Whatever we're doing is, we don't even have a database of how many Nigerians that are abroad. Most of the estimates you guys pulled up on Google are just sometimes not accurate.
Actually, sometimes inflated, I believe.
So we need system. It boils down on the system. The Nigerian people would have to advocate for system. The Nigerian diasporans have to fund initiatives that empower the people to understand what is political education and give them literacy when in these areas by them, because these are the instruments our politicians have also, weaponized. Poor education, poverty, hunger. These are the things we in the diaspora can sort of bring a different initiative. It's a long journey. It's a long walk to freedom. I would put it in that way. But I think that is the direction to go.
How do you do that? Everyone's standoffish, sending money home because who's gonna?
No, I just made a point. I said we should fund initiatives, build schools, inform, influence the curriculum, educational policies, build institutions where the Nigerian people can learn political literacy, institutions that can give political literacy to our people, right?
But in Nigeria, how do you funnel the funds to do that so that it's being...
Oh, no, I'm talking about this from the standpoint of diasporan contribution back home. Rather than giving relatives money.
Here, in regards to what Mathew was saying, funding political movement and political literacy and so on, very smart, very good thing on paper. I have to only say one thing. You cannot outspend the Nigerian government, especially the current president. And I will tell you why, how I mean it. The guy is so desperate to get things, the opposite way. If you build 2 schools to teach political literacy, he would build 5 schools to teach propaganda. That's one. The guy is such a nasty guy. I tell you, he doesn't play fair. That's why he's very dangerous for the country. Now, coming into talking about how we could have helped the situation, you also mentioned funding candidates into the Congress. You don't know who your Senate president is. No matter who you fund, they will buy all of them. Now, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to be we could think in a more strategic way. And
we can think in more strategic way, but we have to start somewhere.
Right. Yeah. So we have to be careful to block all the loopholes. Because, go ahead.
There are people, there is already people like these that are, pushing for literacy. I see a young guy in Nigeria, Peter for Nigeria. This guy is someone that has been, doing some of the things that more Nigerian youths needs to be doing. We have to empower these kind of things. Yes, the system is corrupt, but that does not mean what leads to corruption, what leads to this siphoning or what's the right word to use. But when we influence and support 10 candidates to go into the Senate, we can be sure that we can get 3 in a particular term who may advocate the right policies for the people. What I'm saying is that the lack of fund is also a discouragement for good people to go into politics. Mm-hmm. So these are the kind of things we can try to empower rather than dishing out money.
Very expensive.
You know, I'm just trying to be careful. I'm trying to be careful. You know, we would say good people, bad people. You've never tested the red chambers of Nigeria. That's a very dangerous place. You might be a very good person.
There is no good people per se, but and everyone has such tendency to, you know, falter along the line. But we should. There is no. It is not always bad. We can take some good and then try to do more.
So I would say in all of these things, right, the easiest way would have been if the person at the top means well, is democratic. The person would not frustrate the effort.
There is no easy way to govern.
Not necessarily easy, I would say. No, it's not easy, but it's easier. You talking about funding people. The more you throw people in there, it's easier for them to be bought out, you know, corrupt. But when you have the number one man who is not ready to do things as usual, is ready to take a different path, and then at the same time, other people from the lower chambers come in to support him, to work with him. It's always easier to get things done that way. But when you say there are so many people, good people, who went into Nigerian politics and got messed up.
And also the thing here, the summary of the whole thing here is even in as much as we are talking about investing in financial literacy, there's another thing. I'm just saying this on a neutral basis, you know. Last election, you know, I can, you know, I mean, yeah, somebody would say allegedly, but the fact that I do not think that Tinubu, the current president, won that election. I don't think so. You understand? Now, no. If for any reason, I would say that 2023 election, 2023 election was the time that Nigerians came out the most, stood their ground the most, endured the most. People were under the rain. But what happened? People went to the polls, voted out, put out their thumbprint by 12 p.m. By 6 p.m., they're seeing another thing on IRF in our 2 eyes, you know. So no matter the financial literacy, you know, these guys, so 2 of you are both correct, you know, but what I'm trying to say is that these political juggernauts, they really have their way. The system is so rotten to the extent that, yeah, let's take action, right? Financial literacy is one thing, but are Nigerians
I said political literacy, actually.
Yeah, political literacy. Oh, sorry. I meant, you know, we always hear financial literacy. Yeah. Political literacy one. Then we should talk about the readiness of the people. Now, do you know that a lot of Nigerians are actually politically aware, and on the other hand, there's still a lot that are ignorant. These people are the issue. Like Richard said, do you know, like no matter the effort we will try to educate these people, it's 2,000 naira. 2,000 naira is less than $5. It's 2,000 naira that we use to entice these people on election day. These are the people you spend millions to educate for years. On election day, they will use $2. Oh, sorry, what am I saying? $1 is 1,600 naira. $1.3. They'll use $1.3 to buy them to vote for another candidate. So the thing there is this, right? I feel like, yeah, we need to invest. Like, can I also Mathew said, right? We must take a step, Richard. You know, we definitely must take a step. Now, let's take a step, right? But at the end of the day, the people have to wake up by themselves. I've seen Nigeria. I feel like 2023 election made me understand something, that I feel like Nigerians and Africans will wake up any day they want to wake up. This is a conclusion I came towards in my own mind. You know, I may be wrong, but we will see, because revolutions around the world in the past, it came out from it woke up from the people. It was inborn. Yeah, that was the English I was looking for. It was inborn. Nobody came out and said, hey guys, you know what, let's overthrow these guys. It was inborn. Everybody came out. You see what happened in Nepal. You see what happened in Sri Lanka. The Nepalese youths came out en masse. You see what happened in Kenya? Nobody came out and told them, hey guys, I feel like this government is corrupt. Nigerians are not ready. This is the truth. And any day we are ready, you know.
You know, there's one we use. Sorry. There's one we do. There's one we do get. You know, sometimes there's what we call elite consensus, where the whole elite be like, we've messed the country up a lot, and then we are ready to like back out and try to rebuild the mess that we've caused. Now, rebuild the country and clean up the mess that we've caused. That one is far. We might never get there in Nigeria, because someone who is benefiting from a rotten system would not, suddenly disadvantage themselves so that others will prosper, or because of the sake of the country. We're not gonna get that easily. Now, the other one where we talk about when Nigerians will really be awakened to this and that, like, I hope so, but it will not be between now to 2027, except something happened. The current guy in charge is very, very experienced in dealing with these things. He has his way. He's so good with manipulation. I tell you, the guy in charge now, I don't know if he's gonna be in charge after 2027. The chances that he's not in charge, very slim. But if he's not in charge, it's easier for you guys to maybe mount a protest to take off a bad person. If it's not this guy, this particular guy, it's gonna be hard. Now, if he stays till 2031, don't forget his track record. He will get someone else and back the person. There's a way the country is run.
Become a family business.
You understand?
Yeah.
There's a way the
country, in Lagos.
There's a way the country runs, and it's so scary. After the guys got into power, I just knew, like, look, we've actually run into the very bad, trajectory, because he doesn't leave power.
I mean, we also have to understand that freedom, goodness, good governance. I keep using the word goodness, and whatever that is good, I would say, doesn't come easily. It's a continuous struggle. And yes, I totally agree with Peter and Richard for talking about the people. It doesn't contradict what I said initially. I said the hope for Nigeria is on the resilience of the people, right? The people have to wake up. The youth have to, be more involved, more, they have to be triggered in any way. The Nigerian youths are docile. They are suffering and smiling. That is true. And, but still, it is only in the Nigerian people, especially the youths, that we have a hope for a better Nigeria. It mustn't come 2027, because obviously, and not even 2031 or 2032, but it's a long walk to freedom. We have to be strategic. Talking about what Peter said about these people dismantling efforts that have been built over time. Yes, we will see such things, but that is why we also need to think strategically, put in the structures. I mean, a lot of Nigerians have a lot of people, political strategists all over the world. If the diasporans get involved, have the right resources, the finance, the technicality, people can build structures to support the right candidate. I think I'll leave it at that.
So I will take from there a little bit. You actually on point. You mentioned one thing where I just feel like it's very correct. It might not be in 2027, it might not be in 2031. And I would say not a matter of might. It's definitely not going to be, right? Based on the current person you're dealing with. But I know that freedom will come at some point. Nigeria will work. We'll get it right at some point. But
I believe so.
At some point. But what will happen will be that this guy will do his thing. He will go. He's so good at it, right? He will do his thing. He will finally leave. When he finally leaves, the person that might come in next might not be as brutal as he is, because when we use the word Nigerian,
that is the hope. If we think that there would be a better person as such, that means we are hanging our hope in. I mean, because the last government before this, people thought it was bad. So if you're hoping that the one that will come next may not be as brutal as this, you may.
It's 1961.
No, when I say brutal, when I mean brutal, it's not in terms of economy or whatever. In terms of someone who could be a little bit lackadaisical about things. I tell you, it would have been easier to remove the previous government, because that guy,
1961 till now,
that guy could sleep at his job. But this particular one, he's so active, at least for the sake of power.
Yes, I mean, since 1961 till date, Nigeria has never had a better president. It keeps getting worse. We are in a worse situation than we were even on independence. Now, here's the thing here. 2027, I don't even see a hope, that okay, we can change the guy that is in power, based on what Richard is saying, and which I agree on, So, but one thing there is talking about Nigerians waking up from their slumber. The thing now is this, right? At what stage do we think the Nigerians will wake up? Do you know that I was thinking that Nigerians were going to wake up in the previous administration, because I had never seen an administration that bad. Nigeria, they used to call Nigeria the giant of Africa. It was from last administration under late Buhari that the country got finished, in my opinion. First of all, dollar skyrocketed from 250 to God knows what he was before he left. Aside the dollar rate, Nigeria has never been that divided before. But the current administration is even 100 times worse. You see what is going on now. The tribal division is in an all-time high. I feel like the tribal division now is worse than it was before the Civil War. Now, that is one aspect. I believe that there is no amount of suffering that would make Nigerians wake up. Even if today you hear that the dollar is 100,000 naira, $1 is 100,000 naira, you hear that fuel is 20,000 naira per liter, it won't make them to wake up, because Nigerians, right, bad government has built us to be tough and resilient. We can now survive in any environment in the world, in any situation. When I say wake up, the only thing that can make Nigeria, I'll leave this in here for our listeners at home. The only thing that can make Nigerians to wake up is the day the Nigerians abolish tribal sentiment. Believe you me, you will see the magic that is going to happen. The politicians know this thing. That is why at the slightest instance, they instigate it immediately. You saw what happened in Lagos election, last governorship race. So
what is still ongoing?
It's still ongoing. So any day. So now, this is a question I know that none of us here, the panel, can answer. What can we do to abolish tribal division in Nigeria? And any day that is abolished, believe you me, we have woken up. It's the only thing that's holding Nigeria now. Because now, the people in the north be like, well, we don't want the people in the east to take power. The people in the east be like, well, the people in the west have held power. The people in the west be like, well, the people in everybody has their sentiment. So that I'll leave it at that for our listeners back home. If everybody can go back home and think and say, hey, let's come together and clear this mess. Everybody's suffering it. Nobody's buying bread cheaper. I think I'll leave it at that for the panelists. We can, if you have a solution, how we can wake up.
Well, I think that there can never be a solution for ethnic division. It can get better. Our identity is intertwined in such mess, which is partly something we really didn't talk so much on this episode, but because there are layers to Nigerian problem. There is the external factors, historical factors, and they are all manifesting contemporarily. But I don't think there can be any solution to our ethnic diversity. Yeah. It can get better, but we must also not be blinded by that characteristics of ours, because Nigeria is not the only country where there is such ethnic division. Brazil, for example, is also a country that is multi-ethnic in a sense, but in as much as we cannot say Brazil is wonderful, all indicators of wonderful or goodness. Sorry, I keep going back to this word. There is a level. It's a process, right? There is a level of economic freedom and advancements that countries like Brazil have attained, that even Nigerians are forced to leave Nigeria big time there. Indonesia. I'm not trying to insinuate that these countries are wonderful or better as such than Nigeria, but these are countries that are also, multi-ethnic, diverse in certain, to a certain extent in the way Nigeria is. And if we look at it, the level of success countries like this have attained is a stepping stone for better things. They, with the way Brazil is, it can, insist for what is good for it. Mm-hmm. It can negotiate in the community of states, But when Nigeria keeps on holding on to these ethnic divides and saying, until we answer that question, we can never answer that question. This is a problem that was bequeathed on us, and we must think of a way to, think above it and not to sort of solve it in its entirety.
Matthew,
Thank you.
Well spoken. Matthew, you guys have been great. We could be on this for hours. I want to just tie things up. I'm very grateful to all of you, Richard, Matthew, and Peter, for being here. We totally have to do a part 2. I would like to do a podcast on just the ethnic groups, big time, because that's a separate, like I'm getting the thumbs up from Richard. That's like a podcast on its own. Please, just to tie up, because I know you guys are busy, and I had said it was going to be an hour, and we've gone well over the hour. Each one of you, can you leave us with something for our listeners, taking a minute or two, just a thought that you can leave for our listeners? I'm also going to ask Peter later to get from each one of you a book recommendation. I'm trying to get our guests to give us recommendation on books, especially as it pertains to the topics of a podcast. But please, just to tie things up, 1 or 2 minutes on just lasting thoughts that you want to give our listeners. I'll start with Peter, please.
Hi, listeners at home. I mean, the message is clear, The change that you want for Nigeria starts from yourself. Like a famous U.S. president said, I don't know who that was. I don't want to misquote, but it's not what your country can do for you. It's what you can do for your country. Kennedy. I feel like Kennedy, I believe so. So I believe that Nigerians have gotten to that stage where every citizen now has to take action from themselves, because this corruption we all talk about starts from the top to us, the citizen. So let's all take this action, and let's go back to our homes and talk sense into our brains against tribal hate and division. This, to me, is the major thing that is holding Nigeria back. So our listeners at home, let's take action from this moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard?
Yeah, so my own message to our listeners is that if your father is a policeman and he's collecting bribe on the road, you have no right to criticize the government.
I second that, Richard.
If your mom is working in the office, maybe in a driver's license office or whatever office, civil service office in Nigeria, and she will need to get people to pay her bribe to get her job done, even NIN office, you have no right to criticize Nigeria as a country or the leadership of the country, because if you guys get into power, you'll be worse. But I will leave you with a book recommendation. There's a book called Why Nations Fell. This book was written by Darren Atsemoglu. So if you go read this book, you will know that we are on that track to destruction. So if you get this knowledge together, you would think of what we could do as citizens in order for us to, take a different direction and go to a proper way which will lead us to prosperity. So I'll just leave it there. Thank you.
Please, Richard, Why Nations Fail by whom? By
Darren Acemoglu, Acemoglu.
Thank you so much. Okay,
so
Matthew.
our listeners out there, especially our listeners in Nigeria, what I want to say is that there is no escape route to our collective calamity. If you decide not to take action, either by speaking out, either by supporting the right candidate, you will be affected by Nigeria in any way. This is something that has befallen us, and we have to stand up in any way we can. Support the right candidate, get education to know what criteria it is to judge right candidates, and there are no saints, but just be aware. Look at indicators beyond ethnic, religious sentiment, and then make the right choice whenever you have the chance to do so. Thank you.
Well spoken, Mathew. Well spoken. I like that.
Very well spoken. Very well spoken. Again, to all three of you, thank you ever so much for taking the time. This is a great conversation, and not just for Nigerians in the diaspora and the Nigerians at home, but also those who are from other countries. As you know, Zaina pointed, in Lebanon, similar things are happening. You guys have quoted places like Brazil and Nepal and whatnot. So this is good learning, just global, for everyone to hear. And I'm so grateful that you took the time to be here and speak with us. I definitely, Peter is the organizer. I'm going to get you guys back because totally we have to do a part 2 just about the ethnic groups in Nigeria. But again, thank you so much for your time. I know you guys are busy. I appreciate it. You know, didn't know me from a hole in the wall. So I appreciate the faith you had in Peter and coming in. So thank you so much. Enjoy your evening. And I will be in touch, you guys. And I will get books please, I'll get Mathew and Peter, please. I'll get Peter to text me, Mathew, to connect and get books.
I will for sure.
Them on the website, please. Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Have a great night, eh? Have a great night.
Thanks our listeners at home. Thanks Mathew and Richard.
Thanks you guys.
Right.
Take care.
The Diaspora Door podcast is brought to you by Nze Obinalo, Abiaksem Victor, Chinenya Alozie, and Anthony Daniel, and produced by Soundproof Audios. Distributed on Spotify and our website at www.diasporadoor.com. Executively produced by Nze Obinalo. Music mixing and mastering by Anthony Daniel. Signing out. See you next time.